My name is Nerima Wako. I am the board chair of Badili Africa. Some of the most rewarding initiatives that I've seen with Badili with the previous strategic plan would be under the BET program, where we would have young student leaders, women sharing and openly sharing themselves and sharing their fears and breaking down even sometimes, just very raw and authentic, and then seeing them build themselves back together again. And by the time they leave that room, they say, I'm gonna go for student leadership, and they actually did. And to just see the number of student leaders rise, especially student leaders that are female, has been such a huge achievement for Badili. I think that Kingmakers was a very powerful documentary, and I feel that it's something that we need to do a lot more in terms of awareness of how women, especially women in chamas, are so powerful and influential when it comes to mobilization and the role that they play. I think we need more civic awareness, even if it means having these filmed in the community and community members speaking. That's something we didn't utilize this tool. And even when it came to student leaders, their numbers, I believe we have their numbers. How many women have actually entered student council, student leadership, and comparing whether there's a rise and if there's a fall, and seeing that it's actually the impact of Badili we can do better around. And also another area is looking at sexual harassment on campus. And we know that it's very violent, especially for young women on campus. And there are some schools that do not enforce, do not see the seriousness of such policies. And having, even if it is a scorecard of how schools perform when it comes to cases that have been reported, I think Badili can be at the frontier of doing that sort of work. My message to donors concerning the Kingmakers documentary would be to continue to invest in creative ideas. It's a very creative approach. I think a lot of times when donors focus on documentaries, they focus on the political leader themselves, and they forget the mobilizer who plays a major role in our politics to bring about that political leader. And I feel that involving that community leader will also identify with the community and them viewing themselves as leaders themselves. And that can also bring about a lot of outcome and change. And it would be invest more in that sort of educational film that is also identifiable to the communities that we engage. A lot of times they would focus on maybe creative industry, which is fine, entertainment, but we can still use docus to be able to educate the community. It's still important, and having key actors that are not necessarily highlighted all the time. To political parties, there's a struggle in terms of having young people as members of political parties and people who actually contribute to being members of a political party. And even when you look at the number of young women, it's dismal. It's way smaller. And at Badili, what I enjoy the most is the fact that women are able to come to these spaces as who they are, no judgments. And a lot of times political parties judge, especially young women, very harshly. And by the time they're interested in entering leadership, they are afraid, because it's another kind of woman to enter the political scene. She has to be almost 10 times stronger than her counterpart. She has to be able to face the bullying, the harassment. And by the time she gets there, her mental psyche is on another level. And it would be for political parties to have a gender lens. I think sometimes political parties are very insensitive, and it's also because of the number of parties that are run by women. There are only 7 in our country at the moment out of 90 political parties that are run by men. And so it would be to have the national executive councils to have representatives as well who are women, and not just women but young women also. And it would also be to encourage political parties to not just follow quotas because they are afraid of the repercussions, but to also have criterias for those women that they endorse or nominate. I think we've seen too many young women thrown to the sidelines, women, just because of they are not related, or the individual within the party who has the authority to decide whether they can get a ticket is not someone that they have connection to immediately. And that's something that I feel Badili can work with parties to change. and we'll see a lot more engagement, because young women will come in where they identify and see someone who is related to them. And it takes the work of Badili to show why that matters, and for political parties to recognize why that's important. This strategic plan is a lot bolder. You're definitely going to be seeing a lot more political spars, a lot more women who are more confident about their political affiliations and alignments. And also, I really like the idea of climate action and makeup. I think that is so unique. I think it's going to put us in platforms that not a lot of civil society are, or even those who are fighting climate justice are looking at. And I think that's going to be a game changer for the industry, for the country, and for the globe as well.